Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I've been better.
Oh, what's going on?
Sad.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. What a starter. Just sad. Aren't we all? But I mean, what else is?
Yeah. I've had a rough week. Been pretty sad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. But thank you for the sympathy.
It's been raining most of the week.
Yeah, that always gives me like a weird, when it rains, and I don't know why this is, because it wasn't true until like 3 or 4 years ago. But whenever it rains now, I get like a weird pressure headache.
Mm-hmm.
Like my
Yeah.
head feels like a balloon.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I sound metallic,
Ooh.
like a robot.
Yeah. It's probably more pressure in the air.
Yeah, but you guys say I don't sound different,
You don't sound different.
but inside my head,
yeah.
I sound like this to myself,
My.
and it freaks me out a little bit.
Yikes.
But that's not why I was sad. Like normally, I like the rain's just fine, especially if they're the rains down in Africa. But
That's a good song. I like that song.
so I want, like last week we talked about Vecna's song. I want to just clear something up real quick because I said on the episode that I thought maybe that song was about the song I chose, Forever in Blue Jeans, wasn't probably a great song to choose. And so I looked into it a little bit and there's no consensus on it, but I want to change my answer anyways because
Okay.
the more I think about it, the more I don't want the song that saves me from an evil demon wizard to be a song that is likely doused in misogyny and rape culture.
Yeah.
I feel bad about even the song is upbeat and it is I don't know how to explain it without saying something stupid and lame. Like I don't know how to articulate it. Like the beat is good,
Yeah.
but
The music is good and boppy, but the lyrics are terrible.
the lyrical content is the bad
or
thing.
at least
yeah.
not the right vibe that you want.
It's not the vibe. You know, I didn't think about that kind of stuff very much when I was younger because,
No.
of course, I didn't know. I wasn't educated in that stuff. It was just like this is the way society is. Just go with the flow and
Yeah.
don't push too hard against the status quo and
Yeah.
all that garbage, right? That I don't really prescribe to anymore. So I'm trying to be more careful about it.
As should everybody. I think that's a good thing to be.
I was gonna go with with Watermelon Sugar,
Do you know what that song's about?
but then I think that song is reverse. I don't know what the opposite of misogyny is, but it's not though because it's a man singing about how much he loves the taste of a woman.
Keep going. Yep. That's right.
So maybe that's not, yeah. But that song's got like a really good vibe to it too. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think it over again. Think of something else. I used to really like the movie One Crazy Summer with John Cusack, where he's an artist guy, like a cartoonist, and he draws the weird rhino cartoons.
Oh.
And Demi Moore's in it, and she's a guitarist, and they meet, and his nickname is Hoops. Because like this basketball is a big deal in his family, but he's not good at basketball. He's never been good at basketball.
Yeah.
But everybody calls him Hoops, and then he pretends like he's good at basketball, but he's not. And so then that's the roman. But anyways, I used to like that movie like a lot, and I watched it again recently, and I was like, oh, does not hold up.
Oh boy.
Like not good. But then there's other movies too, like Troy, the giant war epic.
Oh yeah.
Ensemble cast with Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
Eric Bana, and Orlando Bloom. And that doesn't hold up either, but not for the reasons you would think. You know, of course, whitewashing of history, right? Like,
Yeah. None of those people were white.
well, maybe there's some lighter skinned folks down in those regions, but it's not
Not likely.
100% likely, right? And, Homer in the Iliad does describe Achilles as being reddish blonde, but that doesn't mean he's white, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's beside the point, though. Hollywood has a long history of whitewashing things, and it's not okay, and they should stop fucking doing it. But that's not why the movie doesn't hold up. The movie doesn't hold up because it's fucking ridiculous. Like, it's so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't follow the reality of the history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course it doesn't, right? Because it's a movie. But
There's a couple of cool fight scenes.
yes, but also they are stupid.
Oh, okay.
There's one scene where Achilles, Brad Pitt's character, runs and jumps off the guy he's fighting's thigh
Mm-hmm.
and then stabs him in the back of the neck. That's kind of cool.
That's what I'm saying.
But then he lands and he goes to a whole army.
Mm.
Anyone else? Like, and it struck me as like Pete Holmes as Batman, right? Like, he's like, where's Rachel? Two-Face, what did you do with Harvey Dent? Like, just that stupid, like, who's next? And I'm like, oh, come on.
I always
like,
wonder.
I get it, but
I always wonder if, like, when they're filming those really like seemingly very powerful, dramatic scenes, if it actually does feel that way, or if it just feels very faked
it's got to feel
and pushed.
It's got to feel stupid. Like, I like to think that the only reason I didn't try to become an actor is not because I'm not good looking enough to be an actor,
Stop.
but because I just felt like I didn't want to make a fool of myself in front of 100 people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because the kind of movies I would want to do are the kind of movies where you have to be a fool.
Right.
And you have to do it in front of a bunch of people
Yeah.
who are probably having bad days because they just, stubbed their toe or their finger trying to tape up the set. And you're like a jackass who just comes out of his trailer at the last minute and goes, who's next? And then goes right back into your trailer because you're a jackass. But
Well,
I don't know.
Fun fact, I used to be in drama
I took drama too.
in
and
elementary
yeah.
school, and it was fun until the cool kids don't like it too much, right?
Yeah.
And they'll harass and tease the ever loving hell out of you. And so I never did it again. I did like maybe 3 plays, and then I just never did it again. But you get some sort of like, it's a cool club. I like being in that with other kind of quote unquote theater kids. I like that whole vibe.
Yeah.
But until you are separated from them and then, they go after you.
I think theater kids and like even stage work is so different though, right?
I am sure, yeah.
the people you're doing that in front of are there to see it. And so even if you do look foolish
Yeah.
or a little camp, which is all part of being in theater, right? Because of the way that whole thing is set up. They paid to see you do that.
Unless it's a forced school assembly, and then
I get what you're saying.
the kids are all forced to go watch it, and then you get like some weird confidence build up, and you're like, I think I'll go out for the talent show. And what's even more is I will take my untalented trained ass and try to dance in front of people. Nothing.
Where did you get that confidence? You're like, I'm going to dance in front of the whole school.
I was coming off of being like a pivotal character in a Christmas type play.
Yeah.
Where I was like, the premise is that the rest of my family, quote unquote, because I'm a little kid, is trying to like figure out what to put on their Christmas card and like how to organize their Christmas card.
Yeah.
And this was like 80s, like early 80s, it had to have been. And I go, the lights go down, right? And then there's just the light on me. And I go, really? The idea of like, I can't remember exactly, obviously, but the premise is like, it's not what you put on your Christmas card. It's who you send your Christmas cards to and who receives them with love. And it's kind of like a silly one, but I really liked it. I really liked the whole like play of it all.
I never did any plays or any talent shows.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't done the talent show at least.
Well, I was teased mercilessly
Yes.
my entire school career.
Yeah.
Like it just started day one and didn't end until after I was out of school. And
Yeah.
even then some teasing occurred
Yeah.
after.
I'm pretty sure I was harassed in the womb.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
the more I think about my childhood and the more I think about like my adulthood and my personality, the more I believe that I am undiagnosed autistic.
Mhm.
Because my social, I've always told myself, oh, I got no problem socially, but I am a weirdo. I'm awkward, right?
Mhm.
Is the reality, but I've always tricked myself into believing I can talk to anybody and they won't mind. They mind a lot of times.
They might mind, but that's not a.
Yeah, I never did it because I was just chicken shit because I thought, I'm already being teased.
Yeah.
This is just going to make things
Well,
10 times worse. I want to try to fly under the radar
Right.
as much as possible.
Well, I got asked to do it at like a last minute thing. And then I went, well, maybe this is my thing. Maybe this is how I get in with a different type of group. And it was a small enough school that maybe I could actually have some friends who weren't as crappy and as the rest of the kids. And I could find my thing that I could, kind of cruise with.
Yeah.
But it didn't end up too well overall.
Didn't work out.
Yeah. But I look at it fondly because it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I regret in some ways not being more open to doing those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm particularly talented at anything that theater kids need to do, but just, giving it a shot
Yeah.
when I had opportunities as opposed to being like, oh no, no, I could never do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyways, okay. Let's change the subject just a little bit. We're going to stay on movies and shows,
I'm
but
going to stay sad.
Oh, okay. It's fun. I said that we were having a lot of rain here, but in Kentucky they're having a lot of flooding, and lots of people are losing their homes and their businesses and their cars and stuff. And so,
Oh wait, I didn't hear about this.
yeah,
Which
that's
part of Kentucky?
I'm not sure exactly, but that's why we're getting a lot of rain, is because that's kind of coming from that.
So like the Bowling Green area there?
Maybe.
Lower Kentucky.
I'm not sure, but there are people missing, and there are people who've
dear
passed
God.
away and stuff, and so my thoughts are with them and stuff. I don't know.
literally had not heard anything about that.
Yeah,
When
it's
did
in
that
the
start?
last couple of days here.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. I don't like getting caught up in the rain. I don't like driving in the rain
Mm,
because roads wash out really easily here, and so I don't really like it. It scares me a little bit. And then people also are not the best drivers when it
Yeah.
comes to snow and rain
hmm
here in Tennessee, because it really doesn't do it that often. So people aren't used to it.
Well, it rains a lot here, but not the way that
No, it's
the flooding
here's
causing rain does.
here's the
yeah.
type of weather we have. We have wait 15 minutes and it'll be better. But
Nope.
during those 15 minutes, it just like it just down.
Yeah.
It's like a whole bucket of water on your windshield and stuff. It's not fun.
Yeah, it can get really, really hard. That was something interesting that I read, that Tennessee gets more rain per capita per year than Seattle. And
Mhm.
Seattle's like known for the rain.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this before, but like Seattle's just kind of misty all the
Yeah.
time.
It rains differently.
It rains
rains.
different. Yeah.
But it's just as sprinkles.
Yeah.
It's usually just a sprinkle.
Here it soaks you to the bone. Yeah.
Yeah. In like 10 minutes, it'll.
Feels like the heavens are dumping water on
Yeah.
us as opposed to just misting a garden like
Yeah.
it does in
Yeah.
Seattle all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm hoping everyone stays safe and stays dry, and they get the funding that they need to like
Yeah.
take care of people.
Well, I have a coworker who works works from Kentucky.
Yeah,
So I hope they're okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know that was a thing.
I hope
though.
so too. I know you don't like true crime. I know that's
Oh no.
I know that's a touchy subject, as we say. But I did want to touch on one documentary that we recently watched.
Yeah.
And I watched it, but you were working through it. So you were just kind of listening to it.
Working in air quotes.
And so it's called Mind Over Murder, and it's on HBO. And now, if you like true crime, that's one thing. But if you also listen and watch it based on like how other people live, you can kind of see why we need certain policies and why we need a lot of education and support in certain communities.
Well, across the board, I'd say, I would say that they were not, the people in that documentary were representative of the majority of the people in the United States. That wasn't like a pocket of.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just, it was interesting to me because of not because of the murder and the brutality of the crime necessarily, but just of the other branches of everything that had to transpire in order for these things to happen. And if you haven't watched it, or if you don't want to, you can keep listening, or if you want to stop, that's fine. But it's called Mind Over Murder, and it's on HBO. It takes place in 1985 in a place called Beatrice, Nebraska. Now, the one person who was kind of being interviewed was mispronouncing so many words that it was like, okay, what's really going on in this town? Like they framed it almost in a way that
They try to make the people look dumber than I think they actually are. Yeah.
Right. And so then you were like, okay, are these people just completely uneducated and they don't know how to pronounce these words, or are they just doing it because, I don't know exactly what it was, but it seemed like it was so foolish that's why they bungled this whole investigation.
Well, I mean, bungling the investigation could be tied to like, lack of education or poor training or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But mispronouncing words, I think that's a fairly common thing. If you've never heard a word pronounced before and you've only ever read it, there's a lot of cases like that, right? Where you might have the wrong pronunciation, and in those cases, that's why I don't want to tease people about the pronunciation.
Yes,
because you don't know where they're getting that from.
Exactly.
But this one guy, he was the cop?
I think he was one of the lead investigators.
Right.
He said, first we were like, what? Beatrice, that's kind of interesting. And then we listened to it and it was like a horrific crime on a older lady. And then he said the word Virginia, and then he said Afghan. And it was just like.
He was mispronouncing a lot of words that probably are pretty commonly spoken, and you would go,
and I'm like, what?
So is everybody in the town or everybody that guy's met, do they say Afghan?
Yeah.
Because it was a weird pronunciation, right? It wasn't like even one that I think you could derive from the spelling of the word.
Right. And so then it goes on further, and it's...
Actually, I want to just say real quick, after he said Virginia, I honestly thought maybe it was and I don't want to take anything away because it turned out it wasn't this, but for a second I was like, is this a parody? Is this one of those like mockumentaries like the American Vandal on Netflix?
Right.
Because it seemed like comedy. I mean, Virginia.
Right.
That is a comedic way to say it, right?
Right. And so I didn't know whether or not to take it seriously.
Yeah.
But then ultimately what ends up happening is that there's also uneducation in the police department to the poor training, I guess you would say, where they end up almost coercing 6 people. And
6 people?
6 people into basically confessing to this crime.
Oh, they coerced confessions out of 6 people?
Yes.
How did they do that?
At least 5 of them confessed. The one
I sound like I haven't watched it.
You were listening to it. You were focused on something else, thankfully. But one person was like, "No, I wasn't there. It wasn't me. I wasn't." He just knows these other people because it's a small town.
Right.
But 5 other people were told on numerous occasions by this investigator guy who started out as a private investigator, but then he became a cop. And then
a deputy?
he took over the case basically. And he would tell them, "Oh, you just blocked it out." And and they were showing video.
Oh, so he was gaslighting them a little bit.
Yeah, he was telling them that you did this. You know you did this. Just tell me. And the way he would talk to them was not very professional.
Yeah.
And he would say like really terrible words to get them to like, "Oh, maybe I did." And then he would send them back to the jail. And then somebody, a supposed psychologist, would come in and talk to them and calm them down, basically, because they were very upset, every one of them. And he would go, "Maybe you did block this out. Maybe you'll remember it in a dream." And then they would go back to the police station and they would turn on the videotape again and they go, "Yes, that other guy was there." Like it was just so leading. And they took advantage of at least 2 of the women who were mentally handicapped or had mental illness. And so they would go, "Yeah, I had a dream about it. I know I was there, and this person was there, and this person was there."
Yeah.
And they were always looking for like a specific type of blood that in the apartment. And then none of those people had that blood type, but then somebody else who lived in the building had that blood type. So they must have been there too. And it was like very weird, but it was all from 1985.
Yeah.
And so, you barely had DNA, like very infancy by the time they were ready to start like arresting people and trying these people in like 1989.
The technology was, yeah.
Yeah. And so then this blood lab wrote to this DA and they said, "We'll run all the blood types." And the guy's like, "No, we don't want it." Like he wasn't even willing to like really find out the person who did it.
He just he did one of those old cop moves where he decided who did it and then got them to admit to doing it even though they didn't.
And then before you know it, the whole town believes they did it. Even the 5 of the 6 people believe they did it.
Right.
It's terrible.
So, yeah, that sounded like a terrible show.
It was.
I didn't like it.
And then they did something really interesting when they were making a play. To bring it back to what we were talking about, they made a play.
This was all to loop into the play part? Yeah.
They made a play of the entire thing, of the entire investigation.
I remember.
From transcripts and from footage.
Yeah, so
what the cops really said to the people and what the people really said back.
Yeah.
And they sold tickets for the whole entire town. So when the town, including the family members of this poor woman who stood behind the investigators the whole time saying, "Nope, we believe these 6 people did it." Well, it turns out that those 6 people were exonerated after 15 or 19 years in prison. So it's like almost present day that they're doing this play now, and they're showing what was really said and what really happened. And it was so eye-opening to the entire town because they had only heard rumor or what the cops had told them or what lawyers had told them. They didn't really know the truth of it all. And it was so interesting to watch this woman's son or grandson go, these people weren't guilty this whole entire time.
It only took the play. It only took the play to tell them.
So I'm saying
it's so weird.
Plays help people.
That was a weird show.
I felt really weird in the middle of it because I was like, well, where can this possibly go? Because if you have to like, what happens before 1989 or 1990 when DNA is a thing? What happens then? How many innocent people have been arrested and or put to death and or punished?
It's safe to say that the justice system is functioning in the way that
so scary.
The way that the ideals of it are. But it is functioning exactly how it was designed to function, right?
Yeah.
And that's to criminalize people who are not in the ruling class.
Yeah. And it seems like a lot of times it's just to find somebody as a placeholder. Like it doesn't even have to be the right person sometimes. for them to be satisfied.
That happens way too often.
It's frightening. Like they were willing to ruin 6 people's lives, and they did. They did ruin 6 people's lives, and they didn't even punish the one person who it actually was.
No,
It's just
terrible.
terrifying.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
It's scary. Sorry about that bummer of a downer. Ooh, do you want to talk about The Gray Man? The Gray Guy? What is it called? The Gray Man.
The Gray Man, with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans.
That one was actually really
Where
good.
we were like half or 3/4 the way in, and I was like, is this a Russo brothers movie? This looks like Russo brothers stuff. And then I looked it up and I was like, it is. Because they have a lot of like signature weird pan moves that they do that you can see a lot of in the Infinity Saga of the Marvel movies, like Endgame and stuff. But
Chris Evans plays a bad guy, which I thought was so interesting because usually he's a good guy.
well, he's played a bad guy before. He played a bad guy in
When?
Edgar Wright's I can't remember the name of that movie now. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. There you go.
Oh, great.
He played one of the 7
The
evil
one
exes.
movie I don't pay attention to.
Oh, why not though?
Because
You
of the
love Edgar.
man-child guy. I don't like that guy.
Man-child guy.
The Scott Pilgrim guy.
Oh.
He's like a 40-year-old man, but he looks 9, and it's weird. It's weird visually,
Michael
but it's
Cera?
okay. It's okay.
Michael Cera. He bothers you.
Well,
That is a great film though. I
I just
do
can't
like
take
that
it
one.
seriously sometimes.
Yeah, but you like everything else Edgar Wright's ever done, which is that's what's strange to me is like, and I don't think you have a problem with anybody else in that movie.
No.
It's just him. But yeah, I get it. Anyways, but I don't know. I liked it fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I saw today on Netflix that they're listing it as a blockbuster.
Really?
And for a second I was like, wait, can we call movies that never went to the theater a blockbuster? Is that like, is that fair?
I
But
don't
then I
think-
guess if they have the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like if, 50 million people watched it, then yeah, of course, that's a blockbuster. But it just seemed off to me like maybe we need a new phrase for that.
But it kind of felt old school to me, like Die Hard, where the guy takes a beating, but he keeps going.
Yeah, it was a good movie,
Cameron and I have been watching.
but nothing that I went, oh my God,
Yeah.
I want to watch that again immediately. Or let's quote things from it like Die Hard, right?
Okay, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I think it was a good movie, and Ryan Gosling, you can almost never go wrong.
no.
And Chris Evans is starting to become like that too.
Yeah. The Terminal List is good too. If you
Although
can get
it has Anna de Armas in it, who you don't like either.
No, that was a joke. I like that person just fine. Anyways, Cameron and I are watching The Terminal List, and we just finished it last night.
We started that together, and I was like,
You're
the
like-
first episode was like SEAL Team 6 or something.
SEAL Team, yes, I
And
know.
I was like, nah.
Yeah.
And so I started just sitting there, but doing something else. Because I'm just not, because like those kind of shows, like those military SEAL Team or shows like that, those are just cop shows, but as with military instead of PD, right?
Yeah.
Or like Law and Orders and stuff. Like I'll sometimes watch Criminal Intent. And what's the other one with Stabler and Olivia? SVU. Because I like the characters on those shows, but I'm not into that procedural police drama thing.
Yeah.
And that's really what those military shows are too.
Yeah,
right.
kind of.
Like NCIS and what's the one you watch with Boreanaz?
The SEAL Team.
Oh, it is SEAL Team.
Yeah.
And then this
Yeah.
one started out like that, and I was like, nah, I don't love Pratt, and
Well, I don't have a whole lot of love for Pratt either.
yeah.
For personal reasons, but if you could get past that, then it's pretty good. It's twisty. It takes you on like a
Well, you said that it turns into this thing where it's not like SEAL Team. It's more like a guy gets wronged by his government or by the
Yes,
people
yeah.
running the team, and then he goes on a revenge plot.
Yes.
Which is more like a Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Which I could have got into, and I did end up watching like the very last episode with you.
Yeah.
Which I'd say go ahead and watch the whole show. I'm thinking about restarting it and watching it over again,
Yeah.
just because I gave up on it too quickly. But I was like I said, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't, okay, go on another mission. Who fucking cares?
Well, I care a little bit.
No, you like those shows and there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, like from my point of view, I'm like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of them.
Yes.
Right.
I have too.
If it was like the first one of its kind, I'd feel differently about it.
But you're right. It is like a Jason Bourne type of thing.
Yeah, it gets more like that towards the middle.
Yeah.
Right?
Where he figures it all out and he goes, I got it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
And I will say
No spoilers about it because it's still pretty new, but it is good.
Yeah.
I would watch it again.
I do want to say I think Pratt's a good actor. I don't like him as a
I have to constantly be like, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Don't think about it.
I don't like him as a personal person.
Yeah.
Like the things that he talks about online and social media and stuff. I'm like, no, thank you.
Right.
But like, I like him as Peter Quill in the Guardians movies and the other Marvel movies. He was good in this one. I don't know.
It's okay.
Whatever you want to do with Chris Pratt.
That's fine. So now switch it. Lastly, we're going to talk about Miss Marvel because
Ms. Marvel.
Mwah.
So I love that show. I love that. I cannot stop thinking about that show. We finished it last night.
Finally. It's been a long time, but yes.
Well, we started it really, really late. And then we watched the first episode. And then I was like, oh, there's not very many episodes. We should slow roll this and watch them one at a time. But then by like the second night, we were watching multiple episodes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever. This is great.
Yeah.
I will say up front, I don't have a ton of experience with that character in the comics. I've never read those specific comics. I'm aware of her and her origin and her power set and like where she fits in to the universe, but I've never read any of her individual comic stories.
I know none of it. I know nothing. So,
but going in, I was excited because I'd been hearing that the show overall had really good representation.
culturally,
yeah.
yes.
And it really we don't come from that culture, so we can't speak on how accurate it is. But I loved seeing the representation of a culture that is typically in our country demonized, being celebrated and shown the beauty of, right?
Yes. Yes.
Anyways.
I love it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It's a beautiful show. They did change, from my understanding, they changed not her power set, but the visual of her power set. In the comic book, it looks like she's more like Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, like elastic-y.
Yeah.
Like she can control, like she's a shapeshifter-y type being, elastic being. But in this, it's more like she's got a magic force field or something that she can then extend her body using, which is the same power set, but it's just formatted differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think visually it works.
Oh, totally.
Because
I loved it.
for a teenage girl, that would be very appealing.
Yeah, I also felt like it lended itself really well to the colorfulness of the rest of the set design, right? Like the set design is super colorful, super vivid and bright.
Yeah.
And so her power set being also like that, it's
Like
almost
her room.
right, like it's almost an extension of her personality.
Yes, which
that was beautiful.
Can I just say, I don't know if she's like this personally, but that character is a very, very loving. I love that. I love the dynamic between her and her parents. I love that she wants to protect them and she still loves them, but she's also rebelling.
Yep.
And then ultimately her mother understands who she is and what she is. And I love all the flashbacks with her grandmother and her great grandmother and how it's kind of like relative to what some people are going through today about, this place isn't safe, that place isn't safe. We need to find someplace safe for our family and all that. I really, really love it. I think it's a beautiful way of showing us a different side, thankfully, for once, where, they show inside the mosque and they show how people are respectful of it and people who aren't respectful of it. I just, everything I just, now it's going to be on the scale of what I rate things now. Like from Chris Pratt to Miss Marvel, you know, that's my scale now. You know what I mean?
Ms. Marvel's at the top of that scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me, like, I think some complaints I saw online were that it was like a Disney show.
But it is. It's on Disney.
No, like, you know, those like Hannah Montana, but I thought I got a little bit of that in some parts, but I don't feel like that was the wrong choice. Like that totally fits the character and the vibe of the universe that she's in, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't, that kind of stuff didn't bother me at all.
But also that you could watch this with your family. It's family friendly.
Yeah, it's
which
a totally
I really
family
liked.
show. Family show.
And as, you know, sitting here as an uncultured white person, it was very, like, it even gave us little bits of history and it gave, you know, some knowledge that we don't always get to see in America. We don't get to see that on American television. And I love that. I want more of that, please.
I want more of that. Yeah.
Yes. I want my kids to have more of that.
I love seeing that. Now, I want it to be represented correctly, though. I want it to be people from that culture writing and directing and producing those shows,
angles.
as well as starring in those shows. Because I don't want white people making guesses at those cultural touchstones. I don't want white people.
I don't want a Duffer Brothers situation. They're 90s kids, man. They were born in 82 in 84.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or they were born in 84.
Right.
I don't, you know, don't do it.
I really loved Miss Marvel. I hope to see more of that character. I hope they do another season of the show.
Me too, please.
And I want to go back and I want to say on the Moon Knight thing, because I know in the past we've talked about Moon Knight and I panned it a little bit.
Well, you're coming from a comic book.
I was coming,
history.
For that one, I was coming directly from loving that character in the comic books and feeling like they spent a lot of time retconning that character for the show, but that I do think they did a good job with the subject matter of split personality disorder. I really liked a lot of those episodes. They were super action packed and fun to watch. I loved that his wife character, whose name I can't remember because it's been a while since we watched it, when she becomes the superhero and that all of that, she was incredible.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a lot to love about that show. Just overall, I was disappointed because of, you know, I don't feel like they captured what I love so much about that character. Does that mean I can't fall in love with this new version? No, not at all.
It's just different.
Just at the moment when we watched it, after we watched it, I wasn't super hyped on it. But thinking about it more over time, I'm starting to come around to it being like, I think a solid show. But the difference is like you take a character like Thor, which I cared nothing about, and then Thor Ragnarok comes around and now he's one of my top favorite characters in the whole universe because of that movie.
You can change your mind. That's what's cool.
This just felt like it was going the other direction, whereas like this was one of my top characters I was so excited for.
Yeah.
And then I felt like they like, you know, did something off with it.
Yeah.
Not to say it was terrible. It wasn't terrible. But Miss Marvel, she's, I feel like, right up there with the Thor stuff for me now.
Yeah.
I want more of that. Same thing happened with the Black Panther when Black Panther came out. And I saw the Black Panther
trailer,
Wakanda Forever, recently. And
that's going to be amazing.
It's going to be so good. It's
I
going
don't
to be
even
so
have
good.
to watch the trailer for that one. I just can hear it.
Oh my God. So the song on the trailer is No Woman, No Cry. Destroyed me. It was the trailer was so good. But yeah, I'm excited about those kinds of things coming out, and I'm excited for more Miss Marvel. I really, really enjoyed that show. Way more than I thought I was going to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Just because before we started watching it, I was hearing people saying it was corny, like a Disney Channel, you know, like,
well, because it's from
Selena
a teenage
Gomez.
girl's perspective.
Right. But hearing that and then seeing the show and being able to pull out those pieces where people were saying that, I think it really fit the character. It fit the whole vibe of the show. So I didn't have a problem with it. Anyways, Was that the last show you wanted
Yeah.
to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
You're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're packing it in. You're not even going to use new words.
I'm packing it up.
Okay.
I'm packing it up. I'm ready to go home.
All right. I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode of the Lou and Me podcast, subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or Spotify.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Lou and Me Podcast.
Lou and Me is a Matthiasaurus production, produced and edited by Moose. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers, hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.